Good morning, Sun Prairie. What is going on this fine Tuesday morning? You are listening to 103.5 FM WLSPLP, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and I am excited this morning because we have Jenna Atkinson on the radio, on the air, live in the studio.
Good morning, everybody. So excited to be here.
Man, you sound just chipper on this fine Tuesday. I love it.
Well, I'm here with you, James. How could I not be? And Sun Prairie. This is great.
Was it a little drive from wherever you were last night?
I was up in Green Bay, actually, which is where I'm originally from, having some grandparent time with the kids.
Nice.
But
right on.
was going to come back Sunday, but got trapped in Snowmageddon there
no.
for a foot of snow. So came from Green Bay last night. A beautiful drive then. So now here and ready to go this morning.
Nice. I was thinking you came from Iowa last night. So
well, I live in Iowa. I'm just all over the place these days.
I guess you just
travel the Midwest. Yes.
That's awesome. So Jenna Atkinson is the founder of the P5 Project and host of the P5 Women's Summit. So let's start with P5. What is P5?
So P5 stands for Purpose, Passion, Profits, Progress, and Possibilities.
Oh.
And the idea of the P5 Project is to help women, entrepreneurs, executives, emerging leaders, set and achieve larger goals to increase their income, impact, and influence.
Holy cow.
Yes. I'm super passionate about it. It's been an incredibly exciting experience building it, and especially the event coming up in August. It's a huge opportunity for women in the Midwest, and I'm really excited to be able to bring that here. There's nothing else like it right now.
Sure. I was looking at the speaker lineup that you have.
Yes, it is crazy. The speaker lineup, everyone asks me, I wish it was a cool story. The number one question I get about it is, how did you get this crazy good speaker lineup? Because it is literally a celebrity lineup that is not typically, in Wisconsin or even the Midwest. It's people like Bethenny Frankel, who was on Real Housewives of New York, is the founder of Skinnygirl brands, which if you ever at a grocery store or liquor store, Skinnygirl brands is like everywhere now. They have a clothing line,
right? Or something like that.
Oh yeah, they have wine, liquor, food, clothes.
They're
everything now. She sold a portion of that for over $100 million. The New York Times best-selling author. She was a guest judge and investor on ABC's Shark Tank.
Okay.
Some of the other speakers, we have Arlan Hamilton, who was just on the cover of Fast Company magazine. I think you'll see her name quite a bit in the next couple months and years here. She started a venture capital fund in Silicon Valley called Backstage Capital.
Okay.
So started from nothing and literally in a couple years has built it to over a $40 million fund that invests in women and underrepresented founder businesses.
Sure.
Because typically only 3% of venture capital goes to businesses founded by women, which is interesting since statistically women-founded businesses, no offense, James, are more profitable. I get
under the bus a lot, so it's all good.
Chalene Johnson is another big name, New York Times bestselling author, has something called the Push Journal, runs something called the Marketing Impact Academy, huge, hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. She's amazing. Who else? We have Amy Morin, who's a psychotherapist, has one of the most viewed TED Talks of all time. It's called 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do.
Wow.
Has a book by the same name. If anyone knows Grant Cardone or Elena Cardone will be their huge billion-dollar empire they have in real estate.
Sure.
They have a private jet. They fly all over the world to do these presentations on thinking bigger and sales and how to just 10x your life is what they call it. She has a book called Build Your Empire, so she'll be there. But just a crazy powerhouse lineup. And the number one question I get, like I said, my long-winded answer is, how'd you get these people? And I wish it was a cool answer like, they're just good friends of mine. But honestly, the speaker lineup costs more than an MBA at the University of Wisconsin. So
you just pay them.
Just writing some big checks for this time. Maybe next year when they realize how awesome Wisconsin is and the ladies are, then they'll just, want to come back.
Sure.
But, an expensive lineup, an expensive event, but totally, totally worth it because the value that they're going to bring is just huge. And like I said, there's nothing else like this for women in the Midwest that I know of.
Sure. No, that's cool. So you got to tell me there's an interesting thing with supply and demand, right? With the volume of presenters that are available, how do you pick which ones you're going to invite?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, honestly, I've had the opportunity to attend a lot of these events and even speak at some of these larger events nationally in bigger cities, in California or Vegas, Miami, New York, stuff like that. And honestly, I think a part of it is I'm just super nerdy and I am into that stuff. So
Sure.
I've been to a ton of these events. I read a ton of business books. I follow them all on social media. I listen to their podcasts. And like you said, there's so many available, and there's so many smart entrepreneurs and leaders and speakers that are great at what they do, but that doesn't necessarily make you a great speaker.
No, definitely not.
One of the things I'm really excited about for this event is we purposely found people that not only have been hugely successful in their career and have multi-million-dollar businesses or New York Times best-selling books or done these incredible things. They also are speakers that kind of blur the line between education and entertainment. It's like you're excited to watch them.
Sure.
It's not just that fluffy motivational stuff, but
Right.
they are great storytellers, and they're great at bringing you into the things that they've achieved and showing you how you can do it for yourself. And it's not like, yeah, you're great at what you do, but I need a pillow for your presentation because I'm about to take a nap. It's
right.
These are super successful, but super exciting, fun to watch speakers too. And I think, especially in a time where, you can watch YouTube or you can turn on a podcast or you can read a book and your attention is pulled in so many directions.
Right.
It's incredibly important to have people that get you jacked up about something
Sure.
and can keep your attention for that amount of time. So,
absolutely.
So that's one of the things that we did when choosing the speakers is not only looking for people that had that high level of success, but also that are like, hey, I could watch an hour of this. I could watch more of that. I need to hear more. So
Sure.
really fun people to watch too.
That's super cool. And the venue that you have, you're at the Monona Terrace, is that correct?
Yes. So the P5 Women's Summit is at Monona Terrace August 9th through the 11th. It's a Sunday through a Tuesday.
Okay.
And then we'll also have a couple VIP events, still working on it, but potentially hosted at the Edgewater. So really excited about that too.
Sure. Very cool. So what made you choose the Monona Terrace versus, I don't know, any other place, or even Madison versus any other place, right?
Well, I'm originally from Green Bay, but I went to school down at UW and spent the next 10 years of my business career in Madison. So
Sure.
I personally love Madison. I think it's an amazing community. It has that small town feel, but still has a large amount of, business headquarters and corporations and
Sure.
incredibly smart and successful entrepreneurs and a startup community and just so many cool things that are going on in Madison. I feel like it's a best kept secret almost,
Sure.
all the things that are going on here. And I felt like there's really a missing opportunity. There's already quite a few local events that are great for that and bring a ton of value to local businesses
Sure.
and help with connections for that. But just due to the amount of people that, like I said, are executive level or highly successful entrepreneurs, it felt like something was missing that was kind of that next step to be complementary to the events that already are available.
That's fair.
So
That's totally fair.
what else can we do to complement the local events that are making those kind of great connections, but also help people maybe shoot for the next level or learn from people if they don't attend the events here already, learn from people that maybe are not typically here or doing things on a more global scale to help them, get pulled even higher up from where they are already.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I love Madison. The community is right. Something was missing in the marketplace to me, and I really just wanted to be able to bring that value to people, in Wisconsin. And I think just now is the perfect time to do it. Just so many factors are connecting at the right time, I think.
No, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. Madison is growing. The areas around, Sun Prairie included, are growing fast, really quickly. One thing I want to just give you props to is just an event alone is a huge undertaking. I've done tiny events, and they're huge pain in the butt. Huge pain.
Yes.
And you're taking on something that's got an even heftier price tag to it. You got presenters and stuff like that. You got the venue. I imagine there's food and blah, 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 and just marketing to get the people in there. That's a huge undertaking.
Yes.
So what made you decide to take that on?
He's laughing like, are you crazy? A little bit.
I think that's a fair question.
It absolutely is a fair question. If all goes as planned, this will be the largest women's professional development, business and entrepreneurship event in Wisconsin. We're aiming for about 1,200 attendees, female entrepreneurs, executives, emerging leaders, and started planning this. How it actually popped into my mind is my husband and I were out at, Dave Ramsey.
Sure.
We were out at his event, Entree Leadership, which, if people haven't read that book, it's a great one to check out. It's
sure.
called Entree Leadership, so just about entrepreneurship and, as you could maybe guess, also leadership.
Sure.
Yeah. And he's been doing this stuff for, a million years.
Decades,
and is amazing and has a huge following. So we were out at his event in San Diego, and I think they had about 6,000 people.
Sure.
And it was just so valuable, and I'm so pumped up at it, and I'm like hitting my husband every 5 minutes like, oh, this is awesome, this speaker's awesome, this is so cool, this is so cool. And I'm like, there's nothing like this in Wisconsin. And it's if you are lucky enough to be able to go to something like that, it can be a life-changing opportunity. It just can totally change the trajectory, in my opinion, of your career, your business if you have one, and just your life in general, just the way that you perceive things and what challenges you think you can overtake. So I'm like, Matt, that's my husband, I'm like, we need to do something like this in the Midwest. There has to be something like this because it is just life-changing. And he's like, all right, you got it. Go for it. He's the best. He'll support whatever I say. So he probably thought I was crazy, but said go for it anyway, like a smart husband should. Right. So I talked to a bunch of mentors and other people I respected in business and kind of gave them this pitch idea of like, I want to bring this huge event and over 1,000 people and these big name speakers and just really create this awesome experience for people. And I had a lot of people saying like, same thing kind of you said, like, really? Are you crazy? Like, maybe start with a smaller event or like try maybe like a half a day or like with one big speaker. And to me, those are the types of things that are already available. And maybe I'm a little crazy, but for me, I can't get excited about something that's in the middle. Like
fair.
It either needs to be something that is huge and amazing and absolutely a ton of risk involved and finances involved and all of that stuff. But when you have that pull to me that you kind of shoot for the deep end and it's sink or swim, those are things that get me super excited and super like willing to put in the extra hours or get up super early or stay up super late or, take time to really focus on that. I was joking to some of my friends. I have a 2-year-old daughter and a daughter that just turned 1 in January.
Wow.
So I have 2 little girls, and normally they're, cute as can be, of course, but take after me, James. Right. But they're cute as can be, and, normally most people on their phone when they have little kids. Do you have kids?
I have one 6-year-old.
They have like a million pictures of their kids on their phone, which I do. But the reason I tell people I know I picked the right thing, even though it's risky, is people say like, oh, show me a new picture of your kids. And I have to scroll through like 30 screenshots of business stuff or LinkedIn or articles I saw or stuff on speakers for the event that I like are things that I'm pumped about at 2 a.m. like taking screenshots of. So I'm like, ooh, that's kind of bad. I have to scroll through my business stuff to find pictures of my kids who, I love the most in the world are the most cool thing. But to me, that's how you know you're passionate about something is, at least for me, go big or go home. And I was joking to my friends the other day, like, this is either going to be the coolest, biggest, most awesome event there is, or you guys are going to have to come visit me in Fiji under a secret name because I'm going to have to move away. So go big or go home is what I like to do.
Fiji doesn't sound terrible.
Exactly. So it's like a win or don't lose, go live at the beach.
I always think Schwarzenegger, I was reading his autobiography, and he was saying, could you imagine Alderman Schwarzenegger?
Exactly.
Go straight for governor, just don't go.
Exactly. The middle stuff has been done. And I think, like I said, there's a lot of value for it. But for me personally, it needs to be a bigger amount of risk, a bigger amount of reward. And I totally understand that, the flip side that is a bigger risk and there's more pressure and stuff with that involved with it. But I think with the right mindset and the right, if you read 10X by Grant Cardone, Elena will be at the event, you never decrease your goals. You never decrease what you're shooting for. You increase your action and you increase what it takes. You do whatever it takes to achieve those goals that you're going after. Don't decrease that. Increase your actions.
Right. That's fair. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm too late
that's
now,
a
James.
Huge
it's
undertaking.
happening for sure. It is, and it's on track. It's going really well.
That's cool.
Just get more and more excited the more we get finalized for it.
Sure.
It'll be great.
I feel like the names that you have, them alone, with their networks and all that kind of stuff, will bring some pull.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we haven't actually, this is kind of the first public forum that we've discussed it at. We've done a lot of discussions, individually, one-on-one, and with some companies that are sponsoring. We have some amazing corporate partners. We have American Family Insurance, American Family Institute, which is the title sponsor actually for a pitch competition that I'd love to chat about, because that is another super exciting component of the event. Madison College will be there as a partner. CUNA Mutual and their ventures arm is a partner. And we have a couple more that are potentially joining at a larger level as well. But we've had great community support, which I think is very important. And yeah, it's set to be a great event.
That's super cool. I feel like August is far away, but only because it's cold outside.
Ugh.
But realistically,
I know.
It's not that far away.
It's crazy talking to other people that it seems far away. To me, I just feel like this. I see the sand like fastly pouring through the hourglass.
Sure.
It's, 6 months-ish away, and to me, it feels like it could be tomorrow. If I had some boring thing, then it's like when you have a vacation, it takes forever to get up to it, but then it goes in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this event. There's just so much going on and so much planning and so many things leading up to it that it's fairly far away, but it'll be here quick. And
so can you tell us about your team? You must have a team of people that are helping you.
Yeah, so I definitely have a lot of partners that have been incredibly helpful in putting things together, working with some event planners. I am definitely, if you haven't gotten this sense by now, but a more big picture vision
Sure,
person.
absolutely. I completely understand.
And
like, we forgot the chairs.
Exactly.
We don't need to sit.
Exactly. But I could make that work. I could sell it, James.
Right.
We didn't want to have the chairs here.
Right.
That's
totally
all part
understand
of it. No one would know it was a mistake. But absolutely, I have a lot of people that help logistically, leading up to the event, day of event, a lot of details people. Obviously, I think it's important with any venture to have, numbers, accounting, finance people, an attorney to go through all the contracts and things like that. And I think it's just with any business venture, anything you take on, something that's incredibly important is being self-aware and realizing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are and where you can fill in your time. I was meeting with Mike Victorson the other day, the CEO of M3 Insurance, who is also partnering in the event. And he's just an amazing leader and business mentor of mine and has been for a while, and greatly respect what he does. And, he was saying anything you do, and one thing that he's focusing on this year is just always be thinking about what's the highest and best use of your time, and there's so many things that you could be doing, and everyone's to-do list is always growing with your job or your business or your family or personal, and there's so many things that you could do to fill your time. And I think a lot of people, me included, it's very easy to feel busy all the time. And I think sometimes even, especially in the entrepreneurial space, this busy hustle grind is glorified now. And, I don't necessarily agree with that mentality. Is just because you're running around with a chicken with your head cut off all day long, that doesn't mean you had a successful day. What type of activities are you prioritizing to move the needle in a meaningful way? What are your personal and professional priorities, and then how can you align your day with some planning and foresight to make sure you're spending your time on the highest and best use of what your strengths are, and then delegating out those other responsibilities or tasks that you might not be great at, or you might not just enjoy. So
Sure.
What can you get rid of and give to the people that are much better at it probably than you are?
No, delegation, that's certainly something to be said. And then the activity versus accomplishment.
Absolutely.
It's like, what did you do today? Nothing. I just stared at the ceiling all day.
Yeah. Do you have some of those things? What do you give away in your business? I'm always interested in that for other business owners. What are the things that they focus on versus this has been so helpful to pass off?
One of the biggest, there's two things that I try to guide people on. One is decision making, because especially in the Midwest, we're terrible decision makers. We're so slow.
Tell me about it.
I'll give you a really quick story, right?
Yeah.
I was at this hibachi grill thing,
Yum.
right? And they're doing the little flip thing and the onion volcano and all this kind of stuff. And this guy's flipping the broccoli in people's mouths, right? Mm-hmm. And yay, made a basket, right? And he comes this lady, and this lady's deliberating about whether she wants the broccoli.
You know what happens to her, huh?
And I'm like, you're making, like, she almost made a pro-con list.
Oh,
right?
my
like,
gosh.
It was crazy. You're here for fun, right? And I didn't know exactly what she was doing. But it was weird because, like, this guy had his system, right? And he was going through the motions, having his good time. And then he's, like, on the verge of sending the broccoli to her, but he's waiting for permission. And she's like, oh, should I? I don't know. Is it hot, right?
I thought you were going to say she just got pelted in the face with a broccoli while she was thinking about it, which seems like most people with decision-making stuff is they're so busy waiting. All of a sudden, they get hit in the face with a hypothetical broccoli. It's like, sales stuff too, James. That's a great example, and you're so right with it, is even talking to people about sales stuff or, like, buying a ticket for this event or talking to companies if they want to sponsor or not. It's like, give me a yes or a no. I would love to hear a yes from you, but my second favorite answer is a no. Because absolutely. It's an answer. So, like,
move on.
Deliberate. I don't know what is the thought process. It's not buying a house. Like, I get it's an investment, but you either want it or you don't. You see the value or you don't. And I think one of the differences between people that are highly successful, especially financially, is they look at value, not cost.
Right.
And that's a huge difference. It might sound like the same thing, but value is totally different from cost. So
it's a return. You're expecting a return.
Exactly. So, for example, the general admission price of this event is $595, which for this marketplace, I totally understand is completely different and a lot higher than what most people are used to.
Sure.
On the national scale for events, it's on the extremely low end.
Right.
Not cheap, a great value, James. A great value, James. So, for here, people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I didn't budget in that amount of money for my business this year. And it's interesting. I can tell, even talking on the phone to people right away, what their mindset is, if they have this scarcity mentality or a growth mindset,
So I would see, like, here's where I go into, like, come on. Because I say, okay, let's say $600, right? $600, let's say it's 6 months after the event, right? And hypothetically, they went to the event. They laid down the $600. They went to the event, and let's say they had a terrible time.
Which would never happen, by the way.
Not going to happen, but let's just say, right?
Yes.
6 months later, they're like, oh, that's $600. I missed that. Where is it, right? Or they're just moving on with their life because we're talking $600, right?
Well,
or there are people that are like, what's the other case? You did not spend it, but you know people that did. 6 months later, they're still jumping up and down saying, oh my gosh, don't you remember at that event, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, wait, no, I don't, because I didn't go there.
Absolutely. And it's all about mindset, James. It's like, you're telling me, especially as a business owner, for the people that this event is intended for, entrepreneurs, executive level women, emerging leaders women. So even if you're younger in your career, newer in your career, and $600, I'm not saying that's not, a decent investment or a decent amount of money. I get it. But
it keeps the riffraff out. It's all
good. I mean, that's part of it, is we're getting the people that are serious about their growth. They're serious about being successful, about increasing their income, impact, and influence. And I think that's another huge point of this type of event, or spending money and finances, is what's your mindset. And especially in the Midwest, I think there's a real negative connotation for some reason around wealth or being highly successful. Or I feel like if I went into an event and especially of women, and said, all right, I want you to raise your hand if you're rich.
Sure.
Like, I feel like there would be like gas in the room. Like, no one, like, raise your hand if you currently right now are rich, or if you want to be super rich one day.
Sure.
Like, I feel like that would, for a lot of people, be an offensive question almost.
Absolutely.
And
around here? Totally.
Around here. And you go to these other events, you know, where there's super successful people, and they talk about finances as just a black and white, matter-of-fact thing. And
it's a tool.
It's a tool to help you achieve the things that you're looking to achieve in your life. Like, yes, could you be kind of a jerk and use it to buy 80 cars and a huge mansion and do all stuff for yourself?
I don't know if you're a jerk if you have 80 cars.
But I think that's in the Midwest, the mindset is like, if you are rich, it's like a selfish thing to do.
Sure.
When really the mindset should be, if you're not reaching your full potential, if you have the resources or the education or the drive or the connections or whatever it is to be super successful and have a successful financial life, especially, you are being selfish to not make that happen, because you are robbing other people of the opportunities that you could provide for them.
Correct.
So wealth is a tool. Money is a tool. You know, of course, it's great to make yourself and your family comfortable and all of that kind of stuff. But think of the impact you can have on causes that are important to you, on other people that might need help, on other female entrepreneurs or executives, like specifically for this event. You know, I mentioned I wanted to come back to it. We're having this pitch competition, which is super, super cool. Nothing like it that I know of around here. So we have an opportunity for female founders to submit their business, no cost or anything like that. They submit their costs or their startup idea or business. Then we'll choose 5 to pitch live at the event to over 1,000 female business and community leaders.
Sure.
And they'll also pitch in front of this celebrity panel, which is crazy. So it's Bethenny Frankel, who was, a judge on the real Shark Tank, judge and investor. Arlan Hamilton, who runs this $40 million fund in Silicon Valley, and Jeff Hoffman, who is a billionaire with a B, entrepreneur and investor, huge worldwide supporter of women's entrepreneurship initiatives. He was one of the co-founders of Priceline.com, amongst other things.
Wow. Okay.
Just a genius business guy, but super, super down to earth, can explain things in, common everyday terms. Amazing guy. And then we'll have 2 local fund managers as well. So just a huge opportunity. We'll have over $10,000 in cash and mentorship and some other prizes for the winner, as well as, potential for, of course, not guaranteed, but all these judges are, investors and entrepreneurs themselves. So if the opportunity is right, this is not to mention the 1,000 people plus in the audience that you're getting in front of for this new business. So kind of tying it back around is, if I didn't put on this event or, be willing to risk my own finances or that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be able to give other female entrepreneurs this opportunity to help get their dream off the ground or get their business off the ground. And, not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but that's anyone, is if you achieve bigger things, if you reach higher levels of success, you can pull other people along with you and give them more opportunities that they might not necessarily have generated or be willing to create on their own. So like you said, it's just a tool, and I'm really hoping that is part of this event too, that we can switch around some mindsets about not only the size of the goals that you can and should set, but also what it means to be wealthy or create financial success, and why that is your duty. It's your responsibility if you have that possibility.
Excuse me. I totally agree. It's interesting when you meet people or you talk to them and they're talking about what TV shows they watch and all this kind of stuff. I feel like, did that make you smarter? Like you're living in this country that's a phenomenal country, right? I don't want to say that you can do anything you want, but
it's close, man.
You can do a lot of stuff, right?
People talk about luck in business, and there's not a lot of things that I think are luck. I think it's, the same preparation meets opportunity. It's all the things leading up to that. But one thing that I do think is luck is that you're lucky enough to be born in the United States or that you are now in the United States for a business opportunity. Like you said, that is something that I definitely don't take for granted. And like you said, the ceiling is opportunities are endless. You can pretty much do whatever you set your mind to, like you said. So that's awesome.
There's this story of Warren Buffett where he's with Bill Gates. And they're in, I want to say East Asia, somewhere like Thailand, something like that. And they're being pulled on this raft by a couple dudes that their job is just to pull people on this raft, right? And they're middle, it's just like this desolate area. And he's like, that guy couldn't do what I do. Not because of intelligence or anything like that, just because of opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's just like for him to even begin to achieve enough money as what he can do in the area that he's in to get the plane ticket to come here, it's just not in the cards. Right. It's just not in the cards. So to say that one person is a better person than the other because they've achieved this does not paint the whole picture. Mm-hmm. So when you see people that have this opportunity, and maybe it's lack of awareness or lack of drive or something like that, it kind of makes you like, oh, really?
I know. And I think part of that is just finding the things that you're passionate about. You know, people ask me too, like, how are you thinking about this stuff all the time? Or why are you like pumped about it all the time? It's like, because you find something that aligns with what your strengths are, what you're excited about, and what can add the most value to other people. I think that's a huge part of it. Is there's a lot of things that you can do that can help you make a big paycheck. Like there's a lot of things that you can do to make money. The economy is great right now. There's, tons of job openings. If you want a job right now, and maybe this will make people mad saying this, but if you want a job right now, there's job openings for you.
Oh, there are totally job openings.
I was talking to a local, actually Madison-based company the other day about this event, and they said one of their biggest struggles right now is they have over 600 job openings locally. Wow. A huge company, yeah, and they're just growing so fast, and they're like, we cannot fill the positions as fast as we're creating them. So there's a lot of opportunities if you just are looking for a paycheck. What really gets people motivated and where I think you can add the most value is what are you super good at, what adds value to other people, and how can you combine those things to make it just something super exciting for you. I was watching this video the other day, and I thought it was a great example. It was this guy talking about the same thing. People would ask him all the time, like, how are you so motivated for your business all the time? And he's like, what I want you to do is go to your bank, however much money you have in there. If it's $100, if it's $100,000, I want you to take all your money out in cash, just $1 bills, and start a bonfire and slowly just start setting the $1 bills in the fire. Just all day, just start setting the $1 bills in the fire. All right. Because if you're not motivated, if you're not doing things that you're excited about and that are creating value for other people and making an impact, that's what you're doing with your time every day. And just because you don't have a physical representation or you don't have some visual thing about it, like you said, if you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix all day, and don't get me wrong, I watch a couple Netflix here and there. I got Hulu. I'm up on some of the stuff, but
time to recharge. It's
right. But if you're doing that all day or you're wasting a bunch of your time, that's what you're doing with your minutes in your day, is just burning up potential, burning up opportunities. And, there's examples lately. I mean, the Kobe Bryant thing, you never know when it's your last day. So how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to go out as like, man, that guy I knew every episode of The Office and every episode of Friends and every episode, it's like, or wow, he was really making an impact. He was doing some cool things and, changing people's lives. So it needs to be a draw. You need to make it feel like it is your duty and you are literally letting other people down if you are not doing your best and creating opportunities and adding value to other people where you have the potential to do so. Right.
It's bringing people up rather than just feeding or bleeding off them, I guess.
Exactly. And, that's another thing, too, is a rising tide raises all ships, right? I think the marketplace is completely different than it has been in the past. It used to be, I think, more of like a dog eat dog, kill your competition, be the best kind of mentality. And now I think it's shifting a lot more, and you'll see that the companies and the people that are the most successful are much more collaborative and how can we help each other succeed and build each other up. You know, even like this event, trying to do something called the local spotlight, where we feature organizations locally that provide resources or services specifically to women entrepreneurs, executives, emerging leaders. And I'm willing to highlight, you know, as many as possible, even though they might be quote unquote competitors, kind of, you know, for membership or whatever.
Right.
But you have to recognize that everything isn't for everybody.
Right.
So if people aren't a great fit for my stuff or aren't a great fit for another, you know, group or network or organization or whatever, I want to be the one to help connect them to the one that is. It's not benefiting anyone to, you know, have these sleazy sales tactics or like you know, trick people into working with you if it's not a great fit. It's not going to be good for you in the long run, and obviously it won't be great for them if it's not a great fit. So how can you partner even with, you know, your almost competitors or competition and say like, I think this person is better for you, or this client works better with us, or whatever. But just finding those connections and win-win opportunities and just helping people to truly come at it in a way of adding the most value. Like, I might not be the one that is the best fit for you right now, but I'm here for you if you need it. But in the meantime, like, James is awesome, or like his company is the perfect fit for you right now. So how can I send you to the person or company or organization that adds the most value? So it's a lot more about collaboration over competition now. And I think that just goes back to that growth mindset idea. And it's really easy to tell what people or groups or companies are kind of going to be stuck in the middle of success and which ones you're going to really see skyrocket and reach higher levels, because I think they get that idea more than the ones that kind of plateau or stay where they are.
That's fair. That's fair. I want to downshift a little bit. Are you okay?
Of course.
I don't really know your history, I guess, or how you got into this, or what evolved through your, I guess, professional business life. Can you elaborate on that a little?
So, like I said, I'm originally from Green Bay, went to the University of Wisconsin, the business school here, which was amazing. Go Badgers. I mean, I love it. I love it. Packers, Badgers. I can't be more Wisconsin. Matt and I actually got married at Lambeau Field. So.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, I mean, got married at a church, but the reception there with our favorite tailgate band, it was a good party.
Oh my gosh. You were talking to a guy that when I go travel, I tell people I'm from Rhode Island because I don't want people to ask if I love the Packers.
What? Come on.
I'm the one guy in Wisconsin that's...
I can't get into that then. It'll turn this show on a bad path. But, yeah, so went to school here and then had the opportunity to work for some top 100 financial professional services firms, high net worth wealth management firms, and worked as part of their business development and marketing departments. Did a lot of training, especially with emerging leaders in the firm to help build their book of business. So I did that for a couple of years, and with that had the opportunity to write for a variety of national publications, speak at a variety of these national industry events. And as I did that, I had a lot of our competitors kind of come up to me and be like, hey, do you think you could help our firm with this? Or could you do it? And I was like, not really at this point, ethically. Like, I can't help you guys grow when... you know, I'm full-time with these other companies. So after enough time of that, I was like, maybe I should do that. So I branched out, I think it's maybe 2014. 2014, and started my own business where I did training and consulting for professional services firms nationally, a lot of law firms, high net worth financial firms, accounting firms, and did kind of the same thing where I would help their partners in training, their emerging leaders, create a business development, sales, marketing plan, and build their book of business for when they became a partner. And so that was great. Business was going really, really well. But then we had two daughters. So we had two under two for a minute. And I definitely never considered myself the stay-at-home mom type. But on the flip side, it also... makes you really consider what's important and what is worth trading my time away from my kids and my family. If I'm going to do something, I need it to be something like kind of going back to what we said earlier, that's more than just a good paycheck, that it's something I felt passionate about, that I felt was adding the most value, something that one day I could, tell my daughters like, hey, mom was working, but these are the things that I've been able to create for us, or these are the cool things that I'm helping for your future, something that, they would be excited and proud about too. And not that the other business wasn't that, but, it's kind of going back to that thing. There's some professions, very smart, very good at what they do, but not necessarily, and this is a generalization, of course, but not necessarily for me the most energizing to work with. I think you can definitely tell that flip, and I think that ties to motivation too, between if you're just doing something because you kind of got in that path and then you're like almost stuck in it because that's what you've always done and you're good at it and it's working and it's safe, versus whoa, I want to jump out of bed and work on this all day and take more screenshots of this stuff than even my kids because I'm that excited about it. So just took a step back, did some reflection on what, again, my strengths were, where I felt like I could add the most value, where the marketplace had gaps. And so then kind of like I told you earlier, the tipping point for this whole idea of the P5 project, which is kind of like the umbrella brand, and then this event is back last May when we were at this Dave Ramsey event. So May 2000, well, I guess it would be 2018 now? 2018. So I guess a year and a little bit ago. But that's when this kind of brand started, and I started getting super excited about this idea of, maybe it's partially having 2 daughters now too, is here's some of the strengths that I have, I think are connecting people to bigger opportunities, creating an awesome experience, bringing a lot of value to people through connecting them with the right resources and right things. While I was in Madison, we started through Leadership Greater Madison, a young professionals group called Connect Madison, and that was kind of the first small seed idea example of where I had that feeling too. Is it was a young professionals group, and we had monthly meetings with we brought in a cool speaker on professional development. We had some networking opportunities. We introduced people to new resources or nonprofits or ways that they can get involved in the community. And I just felt like really energized by that. It was, of course, on a much smaller scale, but just hearing the feedback from people that got involved in that group, the relationships that were made, the way people were inspired or decided to change jobs because they didn't feel fulfilled in where they were at, how they asked for a raise or started a business, or some people got married to people they met there, started businesses with people they met there, and it's just like really cool to hear for me how those even smaller scale events literally change people's lives. So long-winded answer to what you said, but really reevaluated what was important to me, where my values were, where my strengths were, and kind of made this shift from that, I went to school for this. This is what my first jobs were. This is what I was good at. This is what I'm always used to doing. The money is good, blah, 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 to how do I make more of a shift from success to significance. And I think that's really important, is how do I, still create that potential financial success, but also create an impact in a positive way as many people as possible to help them create those opportunities for themselves as well.
So let me ask you, do you know how you define success? You personally?
I would say for me, success is being able to have the time and financial freedom to do what you want. And being able to have resources, both time and money, to impact the causes or other things that are important to you. Again, back to this whole wealth, money mindset is, you might hear people saying money can't buy happiness. Well,
you can buy a jet ski.
Well, money doesn't buy happiness. I would say you're spending your money on the wrong stuff.
That's fair.
Not even your own security, but, you ever around Christmas time, you have the red kettles around town, or there's a bunch of opportunity. You know, you can take someone's name off a tree and buy them a gift. Even little examples like that. You're telling me if you spend your money and, you know, give a gift to a family that might not be able to afford it, that doesn't make you feel good.
Right.
You know, being able to give back in small ways like that.
Right.
So I think if you could do that on a huge scale, Tony Robbins tells a story a lot that I think is a great example. You know, when he was like 15 or something, he said he had like $5 in his pocket, and he, you know, was poor himself and had no money, and he went to this little cafe one day and was gonna spend his last $5 on a sandwich, and he saw this little boy and his mom there, and the little boy like really wanted to be able to buy, you know, you could tell they were kind of struggling, and the little boy wanted to be able to help his mom, but he didn't have his money and any money, and Tony Robbins, you know, gave his last $5 to help this little boy buy the lunch or sandwich for him and his mom.
Right.
And he gave his last $5 to help them, and now his foundation and what he's created with his business, he literally donates millions of meals annually to different organizations and people in need around the world. And basically what he said is, you know, money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you are.
Right.
So if you're a good person, if you're giving, if you're, you know, looking to truly help people, when you have $5 in your pocket, you're going to be doing the same when you have $5 billion in your bank account. If you're, you know, a jerk and you're saving that $5 for yourself, when that's all you have, that's what you're going to be doing when you have money too.
Right.
So, you know, success, I think, is being able to use your time, your finances, your resources to not only make yourself comfortable and your family, but to do that and give back in a bigger way as much as possible too.
I love that. I love how it's not a static thing, that it's just constantly growing.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no end goal. And this is like a Grant Cardone thing, too. I love his stuff. He's a little extreme. So for those of you, anyone that haven't checked out his stuff,
you got to be in the right mindset for a little
you
Cardone.
have to take it with a grain of salt for sure. Take what you want out of it. But I do love the overall mindset and thought of it is there is no finish line. Like, continuously be pushing yourself to reach the next milestone or improve or be the next best version of yourself. And that is, keep in mind what your priorities are. That doesn't mean like grind to make more and more and more money and more money and more money and you never see your family or kids. But like, how do you keep your priorities in line personally and professionally, but try to improve on an ongoing basis in all of those, keeping them in alignment with what is important to you.
Right. That's fair. That's true. Yeah. That's interesting. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Grant Cardone, he's pretty cool. I remember the first video I saw of him, I think it was I want to say it was like somebody's phone video of him in Vegas, just kind of chatting with this crowd. And he was on his game, but he wasn't on his script, which I love when people that are like that are not on their script, because they're like, oh, I've heard your script a million times, right? I don't need that. Yeah. So it was cool because people were just shooting questions at him, and he was just matter of fact, right? Matter of fact. I thought, oh, this guy's cool, but... yeah, when you watch his shows, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, he's definitely intense, but his book, The 10X Rule, I've read like hard copy and have it on audiobook. Do you listen to like Audible or anything? I'm super nerdy in the car. I listen to all of that stuff.
I'm an old school book on CD guy.
Oh, wow. I don't even know if I think my car is a CD player. Probably.
I'm right next to the library here at the studio here, so... after the show, I grab a book on CD.
Nice. Yeah, podcast, Audible, all that stuff. But the 10X rule, especially, like going into big meetings, it's a great thing to just have in mind. And you were talking about, too, like even saying, you know, I've put on smaller events, so a bigger event must be super crazy. Well, it's kind of the
logistics of it.
Well, it's one of the things that they talk about in this 10X rule, too, is it's almost easier sometimes. I don't want to say easier, but it's as much effort to put something together that's bigger than on a smaller scale. So why are you shooting for a smaller, you know, X thing when it would take just as much time and effort potentially and get bigger results from a bigger thing? So like, for example, you know, it might be just as hard, if not harder, trying to get a smaller business to sponsor you for $1,000 versus going to a bigger company and pitching and asking for $100,000. maybe it's a little bit longer process,
that is
but
fair.
It's been interesting too as my business has evolved and relationships has evolved, and listening to some of these bigger, more successful speakers and, entrepreneurs. It's like, that totally makes sense. Yeah,
right.
I'm sure in your business you have, some of your smaller, maybe lower level customers that can be a huge pain in your and are nitpicking, and you're like, dude, you're one of my, I'm getting paid the least by
when
you,
they
and
ask for a discount.
You're asking for a discount, you're already paying the least, you are like calling me the most, complaining the most, and then you have one of your biggest customers or clients, and they're paying you the most, and they're like, yeah, this is great, here's the check, we'll talk to you next week.
Understand the value.
Where it's like, collecting a check where someone owes me $100 is like, dude, I had to follow up 80 times for your $100, where the company that just gave me $50,000, I got it in my bank account a week later.
Right.
Because it's just their mindset too. They're used to doing bigger stuff, so they just do it. It flows with it. So I think you just gotta think bigger, and a lot of times, people are concerned that a lot more goes with that, but sometimes it's maybe seems counterintuitive, but it's almost more difficult to do things on a smaller scale than it is.
That is fair.
Bigger.
That is fair. That is totally fair. Yeah, I tried to do. What did I do? My brain. The Bold Business Boot Camp. I did that, and that was kind of a smaller scale, I guess. Definitely smaller scale in comparison. That was a flop. Brutal flop, but I learned a lot about it. But when
so what happened with that? I saw that you're doing that. So what happened with that? What went wrong? What was the plan, and then what happened?
It's interesting because the price point for that was higher than what you were asking for yours. But my mindset with that was that we were going to get everybody everything. So if you're just starting your business, we're going to get you website, logo, business cards. We had rat cards, headshots, promotional video. Like, I was checking every box I possibly could. And I would get somebody being like, I already have an LLC, so I guess I don't need that. I'm like, LLC, that's the smallest thing on here, right? Like, we had videographer and stuff like your Green Clock. We had all these people lined up. And I think I can point to a couple things, right? You learn from your mistakes. One, I am not the promotional machine for events. Not even that I thought I was. It's just not my game, right? I can help people start businesses and stuff like that all day long, but events, I'm like, just go.
Well, there you go. You got to know your strengths. So there you go.
Yeah. So like, why do we have to have a 30-second conversation or more than a 30-second conversation? You need X. I have X.
Right.
Anywhere else that you will try to get X is going to cost you at least 3 times. This will knock it out. Plus you have fun, but people are still like, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. 2 is I think people got scared. When I say scared, let me backstep a little bit. I teach a business planning class.
Yeah.
And at that business planning class, you'll have 25-30% actually end up with a business plan that's viable, right? Others will turn in something like they turn in their homework, just like, well, there's a 50% because you got your name right, right? Kind of thing. And then the other half just fall off the bus for whatever reason, right? So those halves that fall off the bus, a lot of times they have this dream of what they want their business to be. But when they start actually putting it on paper, the tangibility, if that's a word of it, they see it's gone, right? It's not there. Or they say, I want to have a retail store that's open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, but I don't want any employees. I'm like, you just built your prison, right?
Yep.
And in their mindset, they're like, it'll be magical, right? It'll be like the Central Perk at Friends or something like that.
Yeah.
Best coffee shop in the world,
Must
right?
not know anyone that's ever actually run a business like that or a restaurant, and how much time that takes and effort. Totally.
So you kind of shatter their dreams. So when I was jumping up and down saying, hey, we'll get this all going, all you have to do is actually run your business then. They're like, well, I'm kind of cool dreaming. I'm totally cool back here dreaming. So I try to bypass the whole hope thing. And I feel like a lot of times people are trying to sell hope and fear. And I'm like, I have no use for much of those, right? They have their points, I guess. But for the most part, I want results.
Yep.
And a lot of people are very happy hanging out in hope.
Hey,
very happy.
I hear you. Well, because it's easy, right?
Oh, it's super easy. And they can say, hey, man, it hasn't happened today, but someday.
Oh, I was thinking about that this morning, too, getting in the car coming over here. I hate the cold so much, James. Like,
Sure.
I don't know how I live and was born and raised here because I just hate the cold so much. So it's, 6 a.m., it's freezing, it's dark out still. I'm like, I am not a morning person at all. I tried the whole morning routine thing. I read everywhere that's the key to success.
Sure.
I don't necessarily agree, especially if you have little kids that are like still like jumping up and asking for grilled cheese at 6 a.m. in the middle of your routine. So I'm more of a night person, like when they're sleeping. So choose when you're the most successful, when your mind is good at stuff. But so it's, dark, it's cold, it's like, I don't like all this stuff. But literally, like, once you get out of bed, once you're in the shower, once you're going, like, I'm good to go. The same thing is, like, with the gym. Like, I honestly think the hardest part about going to the gym is going to the gym.
Sure.
The hardest thing about starting a business is starting the first thing. Like, we were in Jamaica, and they have this really cool, it's, like, on TV and stuff all the time, this, like, huge waterfall cliff that people jump out of at this cafe. And it's like this super high rock cliff, and you literally jump off of it. Like, the hardest part of it is you take that first step off, and you're done. Like, that is what it takes. And
no choice after
like
that, right?
That's a like great comparison to a lot of business stuff or really any hard thing in your life. I think the hardest thing is doing the first thing.
Sure.
And that's like, if you've ever read or seen any of Mel Robbins' stuff, the 5-second rule.
Yep.
It's literally like, think of yourself like a rocket ship. And this, she's all about this, that it changed her life, is you're laying in bed in the morning, you literally count down, and she talks about all the like psychological, like actual science behind it of you count back down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move your body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go get your gym shoes on.
Right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send that email that you're scared to send. Pick up that phone and like literally just do that first thing, and the momentum pulls you then. Like that waterfall, like cliff story for me is just super scary to jump off of there, but you literally move your foot and the rest is it's done then, and a lot of that is business and other hard things too, is like, I don't want to get up. It's freezing. It's dark. It's cold. But like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam, sit up, like start doing your stuff. And then like it's down, like the ball's rolling downhill from there. You start just, it's way easier then. It's like, you see these successful people and it's like, well, it's easy for them. People give them all this stuff. They do, they get all these opportunities. They get all this. They have all this money. Well, it didn't start that way. It's easier for them now because they took the first step. They did that first risk. They did the things to get them there. And then you're right. They do get a lot more opportunities. But if you're just going to sit where you are and whine about that, that's not helping you either.
No one's going to knock on your door.
So how what's the thing today that you're going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, X? Like, what's the thing that I'm going to take movement on, that I'm going to take action on, that will change my thinking, that will change where I am, that will put me out of my comfort zone. And from there, I'm just hypothetically like falling into the water of the, waterfall cliff thing. Is like, move your body, take the like that's an important step, or part of it is that it has to be physical movement of your body. Even if it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm walking to my boss's office to do something or whatever. So think of that today. You and, people listening, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blank. I'm doing it today.
Oh, I like that.
Mel Robbins.
You know what's funny? I got a similar thing. It was the 3-second rule.
Oh, like even better, like even more efficient.
4-second abs, right? Yeah. But it was from Mystery, the pickup artist.
Oh, yes,
She would take people into a bar, a bunch of guys into a bar, and they had 3 seconds to go talk to a girl.
Oh, my God. That is a throwback.
I read the book.
The props. The boa.
Oh, that's peacocking. The peacocking.
I don't know how realistic that show was, but it was entertaining. I do remember that.
You know what? I came across that thing because I was reading Rolling Stone with this guy that was having an interview with Britney Spears. Oh. And Britney Spears was just like, whatever, dude. I've had a million of these.
Yeah.
Right? She's bored to tears, right? And so he was the guy that went inside the mystery mansion kind of thing. And he learned all the tricks. So he's like, all right. And he puts his pen down and he does a pattern interrupt, right? We all know about pattern interrupts. And he does this little mind read trick, right? Mind read air quotes trick.
Oh, jeez.
And he essentially tricks Britney Spears into letting her guard down. And from there, he has this great interview and she gives him her number. And he's like, I don't even know what to do with that, right?
Oh, my gosh.
But it was interesting because he uses this. Then he wrote a book. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's going to come to me later. Later, not now.
Sure.
But it's a fantastic book because he talks about all these little tricks and stuff that they have that work when you're in personal situations or when you're in an argument with someone, doing the pattern interrupt, or even me with my 6-year-old kid. When he's crying or doing his thing, you do this pattern interrupt with him. And it's interesting how well it works. Like the psychology, it's all the same brain, man. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Yeah,
even,
Mel, you're
even
taking
faster.
too long.
I know.
Step up your game.
Tell me about it.
So, but it was interesting because they didn't want people getting stuck in their head being like, oh, I don't want, she's not going to talk to me. Whatever.
Make a move.
Yeah.
Do it. Pick up the phone, make
Do
the
it.
call, send
Do
the
it.
email. You ever do that? Sometimes I just get like so hyped up and then I'm like, send an email, and then 2 seconds after I send it, I'm like, oh my God, did I really send that? But you just gotta do it.
Totally
Go
do it.
for it. What's the biggest risk? You know, like, oh, I'm scared someone's not gonna like me, or people aren't gonna like what I'm doing.
Who cares?
Hey, if you get half of the world to dislike you, you can get the most powerful job in the world and be the president of the United States.
Right.
You know, so people are so nervous about people aren't gonna like me, or they don't like what I'm doing, blah blah blah. It's like, hey, if you don't have people not liking you,
No one's paying attention.
you don't have people paying attention. You don't have people liking you either.
Right.
So, you know, with everything, you're going to have people that don't like what you're doing. I was watching, speaking of Netflix, that there's a new Taylor Swift one, Miss Americana, it's called.
Okay.
It's just kind of like a documentary about her and how she kind of went away, and
Sure.
whether you're a fan of her or not. And I think this is like any celebrity stuff is, at least for me personally, is you have to respect that level of success, and especially at a young age. And I think people, you know, it's so easy from your couch to be like, oh, well, that's easy, or, you know, she makes $1 jillion, or of course she looks like that or sings like that, because blah, like whatever their excuses are, you know, why they're not doing whatever. It's like, you know, the fat old bald guy sitting in his couch, like watching the Miss America pageant saying, you know, some's nose looks big or whatever. It's like, get out of here, Tom. Like, what do you have anything to say? So, you know, she's like, there's this like segment of this kind of documentary of all the, you know, negative things that people say about her and in the spotlight, and just millions of like hate posts online, and like, you know,
Kanye's
saying
of the
like
world.
terrible stuff. And yeah, they had like the clip of the Kanye thing where literally she's, you know, was at the time like a 16-year-old girl, like accepting this award, so excited, one of the first big ones she won. And, you know, you had this superstar guy come up and just like trash her in front of a huge audience, and the audience was booing at him at the time, but in the show she's saying, you know, she was scared, everyone was booing her for winning and wanted Beyonce, and it just like shows all these like negative things. She's too skinny, she's too fat, she's too excited about winning, she's too this, she's too that, you're blah blah blah, and just literally millions of negative comments and hate and feedback. But to be able to have the mindset and work ethic and all the things to see the bigger vision and continue to like push through and do all those things. I don't care if you're a fan of any, you know, person like that, love them or hate them. They're successful and at the highest levels of what they do because they're doing things that you're not, and they're willing to accept. Like, if you like, I know there's a time I would get like one email like, that was a stupid thing you said, or, you know, I get an email after this radio show of like, I can't believe you would say that about being rich, blah, blah, blah. It's like, think of getting millions of those. And to still be able to be like, I know in my heart, I know like what I'm capable of, what I can achieve, I'm going to keep going. So even on a smaller scale, if you're getting negative feedback, or you're, you know, hearing things like, you know, people are saying you suck, or this isn't good, or that's not right for you, or why are you doing that? You just need to know for yourself and no one else, like, what your path is, and keep going towards that. And don't, don't let that stuff bring you down. Accept the haters, you know, that you need to, honestly, Gary Vee talks about some awesome stuff with that, is like, you know, because he gets a ton of that stuff too. If you follow any of Gary Vee's business stuff, he's all over the place. It doesn't matter. It's another one that you got to, like, you know, take parts that you like and leave some parts too. There's parts of it I like too. But one of the things that he liked that I said is like, that he said is, he's getting all these haters, but obviously running a multi-million-dollar huge business, like incredibly successful, speaking worldwide at big events, blah, blah, blah. He said, like, what do you think about these haters? Or you watch, like, TikTok? You know about TikTok, the app now?
I do not.
Oh, my God, James. TikTok is, like, the hottest new app for especially, tweens and stuff like that. So it was actually an interview. There's this app, TikTok, and there's this girl that's, like, super famous on there. Her name is Charlie. And she's literally, like, a 16-year-old girl. And she has these millions of followers that she, like, got in this short amount of time on this new social media app, TikTok, which is, like, little videos and stuff.
Sure.
But with that, these millions of followers, she kind of got, like, famous overnight. But then they have, like, all these hate comments and like, you suck, you're ugly, you're bad, like blah blah, to this 15-year-old girl that like literally a couple months ago was just like chilling in high school, and now you have like adult men and women like saying stuff to this 15-year-old girl. So she's like, as someone that's in the public eye or has been for a long time, how do you deal with that stuff? And he's like, honestly, like, I feel bad for those people. I'm not gonna like engage. It doesn't make me mad. But think of the mindset and where you must be in your life. If you are behind your computer commenting, taking your time to write comments to a 15-year-old girl on a social media app that she looks fat in a shirt.
Right.
Like, where are you at mentally? Where are you at in your career, in your business, in your life that, like, stuff is not going well for that person. Stuff is going well for that person, not going well. Like, the people that are doing well in business, that are doing well in life, that are happy, that are successful, like, you don't see those people like writing Facebook comments to people that are like, they're not on TV, they're not on podcasts, they're not going around talking negative about what other people are doing because they're busy creating their own success. So you can have 1,000 people tell me like, hey, this P5 event is trash and I can't believe you put this together and why would you do that? But it's like, what are you doing? It's not the business leaders or the, successful entrepreneurs or people that are community leaders that are saying that stuff. It's the people that are sitting on their couch watching 8 hours of Netflix and, typing behind a screen. It's easy to say that. I think it's such a, and this is like a tangent, such a whole weird thing about our society now, but like how people have the nerve to sit behind their computer and keyboard and hide and say that to like, who's going to say that to my face? Or who you're telling me you go to a concert and you get to go backstage and see Taylor Swift or see Gary Vee or see one of these people, you're going to say, wow, that shirt you had on during your third dance really made your butt look big. Like, are you insane? Like, people will not say this to people's face. So what makes you think it's okay to say it behind a keyboard?
We're still evolving as a society with this.
Yeah, but that's a long tangent rant of just like, if you're one of those people that's ever made a negative comment online, you need to reevaluate your own stuff and set a new course for yourself and focus on what you're doing. That just is mind-blowing to me how much negative stuff. And James, like, I don't know about you, but that's one of the reasons I am hardly ever on social media. Now with this event, I'm, looking to maybe rebuild that a little more. And because you kind of like have to for the business, but personal-wise, like, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram, but I like don't know the last time I personally posted anything because I just think it's so ridiculous and how people have this negative stuff. So in my opinion, there's no reason, no matter what anyone else posts, they could post the most extreme political, religious, like controversial thing, and to me I'd be like, like what it would actually take for me to go on my keyboard and be like, I cannot believe you said this, but like, why? Why are you wasting spend your time on moving yourself forward and your own success instead of dragging other people down? That's a super easy way to see if someone's going to be successful or not successful is if they're doing stuff like that. So that's a tangent. Don't let the haters bring you down. Feel bad, and have that, empathy for if that's what you're doing. Like, it doesn't affect what I'm doing, but honestly, I feel bad for where you must be at if that's what you're doing. Keep it moving, baby.
That's right. As a reminder, you're listening to 103.5 FM WLSP-LP Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and you're a more awesome person because of it. It was interesting. I wrote that book, right? The Bold Business book.
Yeah, that's so cool, by the way. Congrats.
Well, thanks. That's pretty cool. I'm getting some super good feedback from that.
I need to get a copy of that. You'll have to show me how. Yes.
I'll get you a copy. So there's a 3-star review I got on there that was the cornerstone of like, I wrote this book for this person. So the 3-star review, which was kind of cool because you're like, I'm not even sure if I like it or hate it, right?
Yeah.
Is that it was a good book, just not my speed. And I don't know who this person is, right? But the gist that I get from it is this is a one-person show, maybe like a writer or a songwriter or something like that, where they just can't scale. In their mind, they can't scale what they're doing. And the Bold Business Book, the whole point was that you scale everything, right? From mindset to employees to sales to revenue, blah, 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 right? All that kind of stuff. So it's interesting because I'm like, this dude read the book, but he read it with the mindset of like, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. When if he read the book with the mindset of, let me just see let me prove him wrong, he wouldn't be able to. So it's kind of cool because I was like, oh, I kind of appreciated the 3-star review because I had so many 5-star reviews that it wasn't looking authentic. So I'm like, all right, 3-star, that's all good, right? You helped me a little bit. I appreciate that.
And I'm not saying by any means that, you shouldn't take criticism or feedback or, of course there's things that, like, personally I always can improve or,
Sure.
I'm sure I did not do well or could have done better or,
there's always room for improvement.
I'm not saying that by any means, but make sure you're putting thought into who you're accepting that criticism or feedback or suggestions from. Like, if a business leader came up to me and was like, ooh, Jenna, the way that you phrased this in an interview or like the way that you did this for the event, like maybe just consider doing this differently and here's why. Blah, blah. Like, I think that's totally different. Number one, from a respected, source or mentor or person in your network.
Right.
Than someone just like anonymously saying some crappy thing.
Right.
But also just even with that, I think you just need to filter your feedback and what you want to accept or not. Always be open to that feedback and criticism and be looking for ways to improve. But also take in mind who it's from, where they're coming from with it, and what they, even how they approach you with it. A one-on-one thing versus a public forum. It's like, what do they have your best interest in mind? Or
even just globally, right? Like the world or society's best interest, right? Or are they just trying to make themselves feel better by kicking you down a little bit?
And another thing about that too is some people have your best interest in mind, but they don't have the same mindset or goals that you have.
Sure, absolutely.
So take it, just because someone's like close to you or a family member or friend or a business contact or, that doesn't necessarily mean, sure, they maybe have your best interest in mind, but they might not have the same vision or goals. Like, for example, my mom, like my favorite person in the whole world, amazing, has run and sold multiple businesses, just an incredibly smart, great person, but, grew up with not a lot of money.
Sure.
And so I when I was starting my, first jobs and businesses, I was telling her like these big goals I had and how I wanted to make all this money and why that was important because I wanted to make a bigger impact and, this bigger vision. And she was just like, people with money just, they need to buy like a BMW or Mercedes. It just is like to rub it in your face. And just had like this totally negative of like, if you make a lot of money, you're a jerk. And we kind of talked about that before too. Mm-hmm. And she has, of course, my best interest in mind. Like, she's my mom. She wants me to be successful. But on the flip side, it was like her limiting beliefs and mindset almost about money and creating wealth and what people that do that are like. And just because of, how she grew up and her, history and what her life is like and her experiences. So, just taking feedback even from her is like, hey, I appreciate it, Mom, but,
I'm going to go ahead and make a buck.
Here's why, and here's why it's important, and here's why it's different. And I think even over the years now, I'm like slowly getting her more onto my mindset.
Sure.
Part too is like, like I said, just take feedback carefully, know who it's from, know where they're coming from, and even if they have good intentions, it might not fit what you're trying to achieve, and that's all right too.
Sure, that's totally fine. Yeah, totally understand that. So this is pretty cool, man. You've got a lot of stuff going on. You have a super awesome mindset. This is fun. This time's going fast.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This is a super cool show. You do a ton of awesome stuff in business and for the community, and I just hope people can take, a tidbit away here and there.
Right.
And, maybe get a hate email after this. I don't know. That would be great. We could party over
success,
that. That would be,
right? We get a hate email.
Really made. I hope more people like it and are getting some tips and ideas and things that they want to take action on or change their mindset on. Hopefully, but hey, I would accept a mad one too.
But because then you'd know about the audience, right? You'd know that there's a crowd. It's interesting. I always talk to my. I have calls on call, right?
Yeah.
So I always talk to my crew about the customer service hurdle, about how low the hurdle has to be for them people to complain, but how high the hurdle is for them to thank you, or to give a compliment, or to say you did that really well, or something of that nature, right? Where people, when they get angry or they get mad, they're so quick to tell you that there's a problem.
Right.
But we have to just looking for reviews, right, for a book or business or something like that. Customers that you have pleased for decades, or a decade, I guess. Trying to get a review out of them, they're like, I'm busy, right?
Right.
Like, take the 20 seconds out of your life and leave a review, right? But as soon as you would annoy them or piss them off in some tiny way, they'd be on there just, maybe the 10-year ones wouldn't, but
of course.
There's going to be that one client that's just on there, 1 star, blah, 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 blah. Without even coming to you first. Sometimes I have a 1-star review that I didn't even know that the customer was upset. Like, you went to the World Wide Web first, even before you came to me to try to fix it.
Right. Yes.
So like,
the loudest voices are not always the majority. I think is important to remember too. Is just because, a certain group or people that are mad are the loudest. That does not mean that is the majority. Especially living in Madison and in college when we were, downtown and by the Capitol, and there's literally like a protest outside the Capitol about, something.
Every day.
Like, we're the group of hating Tuesdays. Like, we no longer want Tuesdays in the week. And it's like, it looks like a big deal because they have 20 people out there, but that's, maybe the 20 people in the whole state that are thinking whatever Tuesday haters unite or whatever. So just because someone is the loudest or a group is the loudest about being upset or being whatever is, don't let that trick you into thinking that is the majority by any means.
No.
And that's why I was surprised you said you got a 3-star review. That's like uncommon. I feel like it's 5 stars. I love something, or yes, 1 star. I hated everything about this. How dare you waste paper for this?
Right.
Book.
Trees died for you.
Yeah. So like a 3-star is like, that's impressive. Someone took time to say it was.
It was an interesting thing. Yeah. There's another one. I'll tell you about another book that I wrote. You Got This book or the Awesome book? The You Got This book, right? Where every page says you got this. The last page says now get to work.
Oh, James.
So somebody wrote a review that I want to say was like 3 or 4 paragraphs. It was so
like
cool.
More words than your book had?
Oh, dramatically. The book's got 7 words. So she wrote this review, and it could have just as easily been a 5-star review. She put 1 star, but she's like, I get the idea of the motivational book, right? Because the idea is that a book isn't going to trigger you to change your life, right? Like, this is just saying, it's kind of poking fun at motivational books. Right. But it's tongue-in-cheek, kind of fun. Right. She wrote this whole thing, and I was thinking, that could have been any star. Like that, I take that back. It could have been either 1 or 5. She just chose 1. But from what she wrote, I'm like, you kind of got the gist of the book. That sounds like 5-star to me.
That seems like, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, but whatever. Maybe she felt like she got gypped because there was only 7 words instead of 80,000 or whatever. But
whatever.
Life goes on. Would you like to play some music?
Let's.
All right.
Let's play something.
So you, this is all like girl power stuff and all that jazz, right? So do you?
Girl power. What about like Beyonce?
No, that is a song that'll get you going on a Tuesday morning. That's holy cow. I just want to run the world. That was a good choice. I like that.
Yes, for sure. We can do it. Hey, but I want to say with all this women's empowerment stuff, women's business, obviously I'm hosting this women's summit.
You got this white guy in the studio.
I got to tell you, James, that I don't think it has to be either or. And some of the biggest supporters of this event, of me in general, personally and professionally, of in my career, in business, have been men.
Nice.
Just like in a professional setting or helping support, the initiatives that I've been working on. So by all means, women's empowerment, like help each other, but I think it takes all. So,
right.
Don't
necessarily.
I'm not saying women's empowerment and go women doesn't mean boo bad men either. And I think sometimes things get twisted in the media and
totally agree.
Some people position that in a bad way that kind of irks me the wrong way. Is like,
right.
Heck yeah, let's empower and do cool stuff to help women be successful. But on the flip side, like, working with guys in business and other leaders and doing everything we can together is great. It doesn't mean one or the other. It means
right.
both. So thanks for having me on. Thanks for all the awesome business things you do. Thanks for the support that you've had for me and, our businesses. And, this event, even though it's a women's event, by all means, dudes, if you want to come check it out, the speaker lineup is crazy. We're not going to be talking about, like, buying wedding dresses and stuff all day. It's incredibly valuable, powerful business strategies and tactics and things that are applicable by any means to anyone. So,
sure. That's super cool. So guys are welcome too, is that?
Guys are welcome to attend by any means. You can learn more about it. All the information, registration stuff is just p5womensummit.com. But men too, you want to come check it out? Absolutely. I think
you don't stop them at the door or anything.
You would get a ton of value in what will be presented there as well. And
nice.
Dudes, just because we're talking about women's stuff, we appreciate everything you do too, and support for all. It goes both ways. So I'm here for you too. Whatever I can do.
Nice.
Help men's empowerment too is equal. We'll help you.
I like it. It's interesting because I think my wife was complaining about something. She's like, old white guys, blah blah blah, in office, and I'm like, who's on the ballot? Right. So like somebody's got to bring up people of all genders, races, whatever.
Yep.
So that we have more choices.
Absolutely.
On a ballot or in business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'll tell you, that business planning class that I teach, you get people all ages, all races, and generally speaking, it's marketed more towards women. So there's definitely more women in the class. But it's interesting that I couldn't tell you. So it's an 8-week class. Day one, if you were to ask me, who do you think will actually come up with a business plan and actually start their business? I wouldn't even dare to attempt to answer that question because there's been times I would be like, I don't see this happening. And then 6 months later, they're opening the door and you're like, huh. Mm-hmm. But I'm the same guy that saw Amazon and I was like, really?
What a flop.
Selling books online? Are you crazy?
God. Who's going to buy anything online? Yeah, for sure.
I'm not the guy to say what business is going to be successful, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Because in the end, it all comes down to mindset, right?
That's right.
Mindset,
who's going to drive harder? There's a ton of quotes and stuff about that, too, is people that reach the highest levels of success, there's no trick, there's no shortcut. It's consistently doing the boring things every day for a long time, longer than the people that give up right away because they're not millionaires in a day, or they're not millionaires by 30, or they don't have 100,000 followers in a month. It's like, well, of course not, dude. You gotta do the boring stuff consistently over time. Anyone that's reached these high levels of success, it's not a trick, it's not luck, unless they got handed down their dad or mom's $100 million, which for most people, I don't remember the stats, so I don't want to say it and say it wrong, but there's many more annually self-made millionaires per year, new millionaires created, than our old money, like handed down money. So
really?
It's
that's interesting.
A lot more being created just through their own actions. So no excuses. Do the boring stuff day in and day out, and it might not happen overnight, but you want to be on the top. The people on top of the mountain didn't fall there. It didn't parachute down. It's day in and day out climb. So keep going. Right.
You don't want to say that it's the overnight success that took 10 years.
Right. You didn't see until they got there, but it was all the stuff behind the scenes. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned another song, and this is as far as I got. What was the other? Who sang it? the one you mentioned?
What's the one that's like flying lizards?
Flying lizards. Let's see.
Yeah, this is like a throwback, but we were talking about wealth, money, mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a song, baby. Got to think about it.
Money to fly. This is new to me because I don't believe that I've heard.
Oh,
this before.
you've heard it. It's an old school.
All right, let's check it out. I gotta say, man, that's a cool song.
Yeah, it really gets you amped up for work stuff or on the treadmill, or ceiling's not holding me. I can go up to 8 miles an hour now, just getting a run in on the gym.
Nice. We have employers right now today that want to thank us because we actually help their employees become productive.
That's right.
On this fine Tuesday morning.
These 3 songs have put them over the edge. They're just...
People's heart rate went above sedate or on the verge of just comatose.
That's right.
So you are welcome. That's good times. So why don't you remind us the P5 Women's Summit?
P5 Women's Summit, August 9th through the 11th at Monona Terrace here in Madison, for women, entrepreneurs, executives, emerging leaders. One-of-a-kind event, nothing like it in Wisconsin. General admission, like I said, is $5.95, so the price is a little bit higher than what's been available, but this event is
your head trash talking
like nothing available. Hey, you don't have to sell me. I realize it is way, way, way more than worth that amount. I think it's an amazing deal, but just going off of some of the comments I've gotten back, yeah, so amazing event, world-class, global lineup of basically like celebrity speakers, all multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs. Almost all are New York Times bestselling authors. I know everyone says they're a bestselling author now if they were like on Amazon and sold 10 books or something. But
no, I'm not yet.
Hey, I'm not talking about you, James. I'm saying in general. You'll get up there too, but like New York Times bestselling authors, Fortune 500 executives, powerhouse celebrity panel for this pitch competition. So if anyone, any female founders of businesses or have great startup ideas, this is a one-of-a-kind opportunity for them to pitch in front of over 1,000 female business and community leaders to a panel that literally is like wanted all over the world. And just amazing opportunity, not only for startups, but if you don't typically attend events like this locally, this is the one to be at. We haven't, other than, this show, like I said, we're starting more public promotion at the end of February. We haven't done any yet. And out of the 1,200 tickets, we probably have about close to 400 sold already. And that's with none of the, speakers that have hundreds of thousands of followers promoting it yet. We'll definitely have a national draw for this event. But I, selfishly created this for one of the reasons was to have this opportunity available that isn't currently for women, not only in Madison, but just in Wisconsin and the Midwest in general. It's something that I wish I would have had earlier in my career and can just really just change the trajectory of your career, business, life, and be a life-changing opportunity. So it is the event to be at if you're a female entrepreneur, executive, emerging leader. If that price tag seems a bit big for you, change your mindset, sell your couch, sell your I don't know, tires off your car and take the bus there.
Just make it work.
It'll be worth it. Let me tell you, if you don't make a connection or learn something that can help make you that $595 back, like you weren't listening. You weren't doing something there. So it'll absolutely be worth it. I'm so pumped. Like I get more and more excited the more we get planned out. It's going to be an experience, not an event.
I like it. I want to dig a little dirt here. Are you cool with me digging dirt?
Go for it.
All right. Have you asked anybody to present that said no?
I would yes, but I think the main thing is just conflict of schedule.
Sure.
I have had people say no, so we have that local. So all the speakers are more global,
definitely
national.
That's the attractant, I think.
Level speakers for this event. So that is one of the things that makes it a little different than what's available. But absolutely, still wanted to acknowledge the large amount of female executives, entrepreneurs, leaders that are local. And that's one of the reasons, putting this event on is to hopefully add more value to those people that are already doing amazing things here. So not trying to take away from their success or, what people are already accomplishing here by any means. So we have this local organization spotlight, like I mentioned, to highlight local organizations that provide services and resources to that audience. And then we're also doing something that I'm super excited about called the Local Author Spotlight. So this is female business owners, entrepreneurs.
I was so close.
That have also written a book on business or professional development or some kind of topic. So we'll have 15 Wisconsin-based authors.
Wow.
And we'll highlight all the cool things that they're doing with their business and their book, and those will be available at the event. If you already, we have some amazing people like Tina Hallis, Julie Wood, Susan Young, just a really cool group of local female entrepreneurs and authors. But surprisingly, I have had people, for unknown reasons, say that they didn't want to participate in that part, which
really
was surprising. Especially because there's
crazy.
It's not like a sponsorship. There's no extra cost or anything. It honestly is just because I appreciate what those local leaders and entrepreneurs have done and want to find ways to highlight those types of people. Yeah, and I had a couple of people turn me down for that, which
weird.
I'm not sure why, but hey,
maybe
their loss, I guess.
Enough, right?
Their loss, and they're gonna be mad when they can't get on the list next year.
Yeah, I was just thinking of national speakers because you got a lot of cool players. Coming. So I'm like, did you just pick up the phone, and how did you find their agents or who? I don't even know if I had a bag of money to give to one of them, where I would even start.
Where you send the bag of money?
Yeah.
One of my maybe not so secret talents is I'm not big on social media, like I said, but I'm a pretty good detective online.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can find people's information, even if you do a minimal research or digging. So there's different websites you can use to try to find email addresses or assistants' email addresses, or obviously most of them are represented by larger speakers bureaus, but that was kind of my last option for most, since that.
Gotcha. There's commission or whatever.
Yeah, there's just some other things involved with that makes it a little more difficult. So if I could reach out to the person directly, or even someone on their team directly. One really good example is I'm obsessed with Sarah Blakely. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Follow her stuff. Yes. Youngest self-made female billionaire, founder of Spanx.
Yeah.
I just love her stuff, love her story. Literally started by cutting the legs off of, or the bottoms off of pantyhose in her apartment, and was pitching it to all these big, department stores, and they're laughing in her face. And eventually Oprah picks it up as one of her favorite things when Oprah show was in its prime, and catapulted her business to what it is now.
She was just a light switch for so many businesses,
billion dollar, brand and business, and they're in so many different things. So anyway, I'm just obsessed with her. I've seen her speak. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So I was like, how cool would it be to have her present? And so I sent her, I follow her social media, and this is a tip to get involved, get in contact or get attention from people, so I follow her social media, and obviously for her job and speaking, she travels all over, but she hates to fly. Okay. And she will post about it on Instagram or when she's flying or whatever. So every time she flies, she drinks tequila and eats Cheez-Its. And that's part of her routine to help relax, for flying, because she hates it so much. So tequila and Cheez-Its. I don't know if that works.
She's probably got her own jet, though, right?
Not a huge fan of either. I think she flies private a lot, but
Right.
So she's doing this stuff. So I went on this website, and there's a thing that you can get someone's face on a Cheez-Its box, Wheaties style.
Nice.
So I got Sarah Blakely's face printed on a Cheez-Its box, and then you can make a little message on the back or whatever. So I was like, hey, huge fan, I'm hosting this event, would love to have you come speak. It's just me putting this event on, not Microsoft with a $1 billion budget or something. So I'd love to have you. I sent she has 4 kids. So I sent a picture of my 2 little girls with the Cheez-Its box and a handwritten note that was one of the reasons is I want to do this, as an example for my girls and my kids, and, just trying to make it personal and like a custom thing. And I literally just sent it, like looked up the corporate headquarters of Spanx and like addressed this custom Cheez-Its box and this note and picture of my kids and like sent it to Spanx. And, they employ, I don't even know, hundreds, maybe thousands of people, like a huge company. You don't know if you send that to a CEO of some huge company, like literally $1 billion company, if
they're going to see
like,
it.
Yeah, that's like going directly in the trash. So it literally was like a shot in the dark, 1 in a million thing. So I sent it, like didn't hear anything. I was like, whatever. Like I tried at least,
Right?
So then, like, a couple weeks later, I literally get an email from her personal executive assistant, like the person whose desk is next to Sarah Blakely's at Spanx. And she was like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, Sarah got this. She thought it was awesome. This event is August 9th through 11th, so it's a Sunday through a Tuesday, like I said. And she's like, she loves the idea. She loves all of it, but her kids start school that Monday. So she can't come this time. And I was like, yeah, I got like turned down. She can't do it. But number one, it's for a great reason.
Yeah.
That's the type of people we want at the event that have that balance of like, hey, I have $1 billion business, but I have 4 kids and I'm a mom and a wife. And I still like get my kids to school their first week of school. And so it wasn't like, it was a legit reason to say no. But I was like, it was the happiest I could be to get a basically like rejection email back. It's like, oh my God, I literally sent this thing to, into a black hole, totally not expecting anything back by any means. And then to get, her direct assistant and PR lead to like email me back and say that.
That's
so,
cool.
It didn't work out this year, but guess what? Now I have her direct assistant's email address.
Right
I have the PR lead of Spanx email address.
Right.
So not to like abuse that or anything, but next year if the event rolls around and it's at a different time of year or whatever, like
how would this date work?
Instead of having to like recraft some secret or custom thing to try to figure out, I can literally be like, hey, direct email to person who can talk to her right now. Whereas emailing a speakers bureau is kind of like filling out a contact form to me. You never know where where that's going to go.
Itself,
if you can get someone's direct email address, and let me tell you, if you're an executive assistant, I know secretary isn't the right word anymore, but if you're an executive assistant or you work directly for someone, you guys rock. You have a ton of work to do. And for everyone else, be the nicest in the world to those people. Like, those are the most important people a lot of times in the CEOs or C-suite level or, higher leadership positions team. And, they're one of their most trusted team members. They work with them probably like the closest out of a lot of people on a daily basis. So, you might not think they're at that high level position, but if you're a jerk to them, guess who's that gatekeeper that's going to be like, why would I help you get to so-and-so? Or why would I forward your stuff? You know how many emails or offers or whatever they get a day to get their time or get their whatever. So be nice to those executive assistants. Go out of your way for them. Be helpful for them. Add value for them. Because those are the ones that are going to be able to open the door for you. And if you're in that position, keep kicking butt. I know that's a hard job to have, and appreciate everything you do because it keeps the wheels moving on a business for sure. Right.
It's interesting. You're talking about the number of messages that they get. I was in LA and I sat next to Gunther from Friends.
Oh,
he was just some
coffee shop.
Yeah, we were at a bar, right?
Oh, well.
And he was just some dude, and I'm like, so what's your story, right? And he's like, have you heard of the show Friends, whatever? And I was like, oh, yeah, it was playing on the plane, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, he said that he gets 15,000 requests a month. And so he's like...
For what? Coffee?
Just speaking, visiting.
No way.
So he said, if I give 15,000, can you imagine how many Jennifer Aniston gets or something like that? And I was thinking, like, what in the world?
Yeah, so how do you make your stuff stand out? I mean... It's super easy to do the lowest hanging thing or fill out the contact form or send them one email and then be like, wah, wah, I didn't hear back or they said no. But again, successful people, keep it going, have that tenacity. I mean, respectfully persistent, I think, is a good way to do it. You don't want to be like the pain in the butt, annoying person to people either, but what's an appropriate amount of time to follow up or add value or do something cool, or like, the Cheez-Its box. I'm sure she doesn't get that every day,
Sure.
Maybe gets a million emails a day, but hey, like literally it shows I follow her stuff. I know more of her background.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes people think that's like creepy doing that, even like coffee meetings or whatever, like checking out people's LinkedIn before, going over their website and knowing some of those, like, hey, I saw you, are from Green Bay, or hey,
Right.
I saw you a 6-year-old like kid, or
Right.
but like whatever. I don't think that comes off as creepy to people. I think that's like,
No,
oh,
it's
cool.
research.
Like, I'm glad this is meaningful for you. You put in effort, you did something. So if you have any of those types of meetings with people, like put in a little work, and you're amazed at
Right.
what you can find on Google or recent news or LinkedIn or any of that stuff. And I think people will take you a little more seriously. I think it's really commonplace now to just be like, how can I help you? How can I add value to you? And then almost the work is on the other person to be like, I don't know. What do you
Right.
do? Like, what can you, like, but if you take that extra step and be like, hey, James, I saw you're working on this website, and I actually have a designer that could really help you with this part, and I'll introduce you to, and then I think this would be really, like, maybe that is a fit or maybe it's not, but it shows you went the extra step to customize it. It's super easy to say, like, let me know if I can help you.
Right.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't ask that. That definitely is still a good idea at times, but if you can take that extra step,
But
I
you
think
know a little bit more about what they'd be looking for.
you fill in the blank for them, and they
Sure.
can take it or leave it. Don't put extra work on them to be like, I don't know, tell
Right.
me what you can help with. So,
Sure.
So yeah.
Tell me everyone you know and everything you can do.
So do
and-
your creepy, even quick research, and that can really set you apart from other people that are always doing the bare minimum or the easy
Right.
thing of the contact form or the email or the call and giving up after one
Right.
time. That doesn't work.
That's one of the things I like about Howard Stern. When he's interviewing someone, he does either he does,
Oh, yeah.
or he's got people that
Yeah.
does research.
Yeah.
Because he'll say something, and the person he's interviewing will say, like, "How do you know that?"
You got to dig back a bit. That's what makes the best interviewers. Yeah, when they have some of that backstory
Yeah.
and can make it unique to all the other ones that are asking the same questions every time. And it's like, yeah, we've heard this. We
Right.
get it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it was Ben Stiller he was interviewing. He asked him about some old job, like working at a movie theater or something. It's
Real
like, how
far
do
back.
you know that?
Nice.
That's not even on the web, right? So,
Nice.
Super cool. Well, Jenna, I want to thank you for being on the show. This has been super cool.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it. I appreciate everything you do for the Madison and Sun Prairie communities. This is so cool. Your businesses are awesome, add a ton of value, and
It's kind of fun.
The books you have, amazing. I love it. That's a huge milestone. So congrats on all your success.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. I might need to drive up here from Iowa every week now. Just
Right.
a quick 4 a.m. Tuesday drive because it's super fun. Hopefully other people like listening to this chatting as much as I like doing it with you.
I think they got something out of this here. We bumped some spirits up here.
Yeah.
We got people rolling, so that's always good.
Go get that money. Use it to make a positive impact. Take that action step today. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it.
Right. Nice. I love it. So just as a reminder, tell me the website again.
The website for the event is www.p5womenssummit.com. The ticket stuff is live now. You can check out speakers, learn more about the event.
There's bios
whatever.
and all that stuff for the speakers.
Yep, learn about the pitch competition and the judges for that. It's super, super exciting. And it's going to be an amazing, life-changing event if you're able to attend.
Life-changing. I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Wish people say stuff like that, but you know that it's going to be true.
It is. Well, I know from my own personal experience going to events like this,
Yeah.
in other parts of the country have literally changed my life and my career. So I know, and I'm super excited to be able to bring that to us Wisconsin folk. If you don't have the opportunity or chance to get to some of those bigger events, that's, a couple $1,000 plus travel. This
Right.
is that same caliber and level of, speaker and success and awesome experience all locally now, which I'm pumped. You should be too. It's going to be great.
The interesting thing, I'm just thinking about this now. I can't imagine going to an event like that and then sleeping in my own bed and like dealing with all the family stuff and then going.
You gotta get a hotel room to process all the excitement.
Because
you're
just fired up, right?
I
You're
hear
jazzed.
I hear you.
That's super
Edgewater, or over at the Hilton by the Terrace, we got some rooms for you.
Sure, that's super cool. So the P5 Women's Summit,
August 9th through the 11th.
Awesome, super cool. Jenna, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks, James. Everybody have a good morning.
All right, we will have somebody else start playing fun music here because that's what they do. I want to thank you guys for listening. As a reminder, you're listening to 103.5 FM WLSPLP Sun Prairie.